Hello and welcome to your yoga for relaxation. So if you haven't already, come join me with your legs crossed on the mat, spine nice and tall and a slight tuck in the chin. Placing the hands on the knees or together in the lap and closing the eyes. And we'll bring our awareness in towards our breath. We're just observing the natural rhythm here. We're not forcing, judging, or trying to make our breath move in a certain way. We're just bringing ourselves into the present moment and connecting with our breath. If the mind starts to wander at all, take a nice deep breath in and exhale all the thoughts away, completely emptying the mind. And bringing ourselves back to our natural rhythm. Making sure we're not gripping in the legs and we're not leaning forwards. Relax the body. Then we can draw the hands in prayer in front of the chest and bow the head down and open the eyes. We can then find our way over onto all fours and then take the hips back into our child's pose. And you can have the arms extended in front or down by the sides. Personal preference here, there is no right or wrong. And we're going to stay here for 10 breaths. So make sure you're nice and comfortable. Maybe you pop a block or a pillow under the forehead, or even rest your forehead up on the hands. And staying present with our breath, our natural rhythm, allowing the body to completely relax and let go. Releasing all stress from the body. Try and let go a little bit more with every exhale. Completely relaxing the body and mind. A few more breaths. Inhale, extending the arms in front. And then take a moment, exhale. Inhale, rounding the spine, coming up onto all fours. We can then just shimmy the knees backwards a little bit and keeping the belly in and elbows in towards the sides. Exhale, lower yourself down to laying on the mat. We can then bring the elbows underneath the shoulders, coming into our cobra pose. Make sure that you're pressing the pelvis into the mat here. Press the tops of the feet into the mat to protect the lower back. And squeeze the legs and feet together. If you feel any discomfort in the lower back, you can just slightly lower yourself down a little. You don't have to be quite so high up. And breathe. And exhale, gently lower yourself down, placing the hands underneath the shoulders and pressing it back to our tabletop position. We can then inhale, tuck the toes underneath, and then exhale, take the pelvis back and up into our downward facing dog pose. Take a moment to stretch out the legs, paddle the feet. Have a quick stretch. And then inhaling, walking the feet towards the hands, we can generously bend the knees, coming up onto the fingertips and folding it forwards. Let the arms hang, let the head hang. You can sway from side to side here, maybe hold onto the elbows and do some gentle sways, finding some space in the back and legs. Or you can find stillness. You don't necessarily have to hold onto your elbows either. You can let the hands completely relax down onto the mats. find what feels good for you. And then inhaling, slowly rolling up the spine vertebrae by vertebrae, coming up to standing. Bringing the feet together, we're going to inhale, lift up the left leg and step it back one leg distance, turning both feet in to the long side of the mat. We can take the arms out to the side to measure our feet to make sure that we've got them the right distance. Placing the hands on the hips, inhale, exhale, hinging forwards from the hips, folding it forwards for a wide-legged forward fold. We can grab onto some blocks here if we can't quite reach the ground. So you can have them stacked up high, so we've got a nice flat back, or you can take them down a level to deepen the stretch. Or you can take the blocks completely aside and place the hands in line with the feet. Keep the shoulders pulling away from the ears and letting the head hang. And allow a little micro bend in the knees. We're not locking completely in the knees. Staying with our breath. Then inhaling, placing the hands back on the hips. Exhale, come all the way back up to standing, turning the right foot back out and stepping it back to the top of the mat. We'll then bring ourselves back down to the floor. So inhale, take the arms out and up, look up. Exhaling, folding it forwards, belly to thighs, generous bend in the knees. Inhale for a half lift, so you can come up onto the fingertips, shins or thighs when we want a nice flat back. Exhaling, folding forwards and stepping it back into our downward facing dog pose. Taking a moment to breathe here. You can find stillness or take your dog for a walk and paddle the feet. You can always have a generous bend in the knees to deepen that stretch in the back as well. Then exhaling, gently bring the knees down onto the mat into our tabletop position, untucking the toes and taking the hips back so that we're sat up on the heels. We can then take the hips to one side and with grace swing those feet round, extending the legs in front. We'll then bend both the knees, draw the soles of the feet together in towards the pelvis as close as we can. We can always grab onto some blocks here as well for some knee and hip support. We can just place those underneath the knees and then gently finding our way lying down on our backs for our supine bound angle. And again, we want to rest here, so you can place the hands either on the pelvis, the belly, or they can be down by the sides, palm facing up. And again, allow the body to completely relax here. Let all the thoughts melt away. Leaving only the breath. Making sure that we're gently pressing the lower back into the mat here to prevent any pain and discomfort we may feel. And then we can use the hands to guide the knees back together, and we can pop the blocks aside if we were using. We're then going to tuck the shoulders underneath, press the feet into the mat, and maybe we can just touch the heels with our fingers. Pressing the palms into the mat and press the lower back into the mat as well. We don't want that little gap. Our back wants to be flushed with the mat. Then from here we're going to inhale, rolling up the spine, vertebrae by vertebrae, coming into bridge pose. So really press down through the hands and the feet. Again, we can grab a block and just gently place that under the tailbone for support. You might find a nice release of pressure using a block here in the lower back. Keeping the chin coming in towards the chest. Breathing nice and deep. We can then pop that block aside and then exhale, rolling back down the spine, vertebrae by vertebrae. We can then hug both the knees into the chest, giving them a nice hug. And then we can just grab onto our block again And just placing that underneath our tailbone. And we're going to, from here, lengthen the arms down by the sides, draw the knees into the chest, and extend them up to the sky. Alternatively, you can use a wall for this. So if you'd prefer to use a wall, make sure that your tailbone is flush with the wall and extending the legs up the wall. Toes can be pointed or flexed. Find what feels comfortable for you. You can have a little bend in the knees if straight legs feels a little intense for you, like so. Otherwise, you can reach the heels up towards the sky. Again, allowing the body to relax, breathing deeply. Exhaling, draw the knees back in towards the chest and placing the feet down. We can remove that little block, just pop it to the side. Hugging the knees back in towards the chest. We're going to bring ourselves back up to sitting, so perhaps we rock back and forth a few times to get ourselves there. And then when we're up, we can find our way back into our lotus pose or easy seat. Spine nice and tall, shoulders pulled back, chin tucked, placing the hands on the knees or together in the lap. And again, bringing ourselves back to our breath. And just be aware of any subtle changes you might feel in the breath. Perhaps you feel you have a bit more space and room to breathe now. And maybe the breath feels less restricted. Take a moment to thank yourself for taking some time to practice today, and take some time to be grateful towards your body and what it's capable of. Bring yourself back to your natural breath. Reminding ourselves to come back to our breath if our thoughts begin to take over. Allowing ourselves to completely relax and let go of stress. We can then bring the hands together in prayer in front of the chest, bow the head down, and then gently open the eyes when you're ready. Namaste, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you again.